Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the El Toro's podcast, exclusively now on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast, which is always a plus, with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast right at your fingertips and in one place. I can't believe it took me this long to switch over to Anchor.fm, but I couldn't be happier now. So, get yourself started and download the free Anchor app now, or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome everyone to episode 25 of the Capital Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Sean O'Brien. Catch us here every Wednesday at soundcloud.com/LTorsPodcast. Also, you can catch us every Monday live at 6:05 via the gfqlive.tv. On PivotShare, IRW Network, we have replays. And this podcast is also available on iTunes via the El Toro's Podcast stream. And you can follow us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. For business inquiries, email capitalwrestling@gmail.com. You can also get merchandise at prowrestlingtees.com and whatamaneuver.com. Now, we're going to have a really fun episode tonight, guys. We're going to talk to Matt MacIntosh, the Bad Apple. We'll be talking to him later about his debut match he had this past Monday versus Mike Law. But first, we're going to talk to a very special guest, and I can't wait to get him back on here. He's a returning guest, and you might know him from MCW. He's the Primal Conflict Heavyweight Champion. He's with AML. You've seen him at Reality of Wrestling down in Texas. And you've seen him at Nova Pro Wrestling. And tonight, he brings his history of violence back to the Capital Wrestling Podcast. He is Ken Dixon. What's up, Ken?
Hey, what's up?
You're all over the place. Not just on the East Coast. You're going to places out west, down south. What are your thoughts on being that busy and just facing all sorts of competition?
Out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see me, and you're not thinking about me, so I need to be in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Give you a reason to think about me.
Yeah, you've definitely upped your game. You get better every time I see you. Various promotions. The most recent one I saw you at live, obviously I saw you at Nova Pro, but in terms of, I saw you at MCW's Final Hour, and you had that contract signing with Ryan McBride.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a thing. Son of a bitch. Yeah. Exposed buckles. Need to get a little revenge. Ryan scored a settle. Knocked some of his teeth out.
How long has this feud been going on, and how personal is it for you?
In October 1st, it'll have been a year. We were together. We were a group for nearly 3 years prior to that. Kind of brought me up and just didn't like the direction he was going, so I decided to branch off. He just couldn't let sleeping dogs lie. Mm-hmm. So here he is.
Yeah, normally I'm not a big fan of contract signings, but when I saw it, I knew the bad blood you guys had between you. I knew it'd be fireworks. Unfortunately, you came out on the losing end of it. What were your thoughts after that contract signing?
Well, somebody's been doing their homework, because he did the exact same thing that I was planning on doing to him. So, play with fire, you get burned, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll just have to make sure I get my point across on September 30th.
And you mentioned the no turnbuckles. What do you feel like that adds to the match?
There's clearly an element of danger there. It only takes one shot. We've had multiple encounters where I've been able to utilize that turnbuckle, and every time he hits it, he's done.
Mm.
So that's all I need is one good shot. I can get rid of him, flush him down the toilet, and move on with my life.
One thing we see right now with MCW is that Lio Rush, recently got signed by WWE. What are your thoughts on Lio getting signed there?
It's about time.
Mm-hmm.
I've trained with Lio since day one. he deserves it, and I'm happy to see him succeeding. You know, there's some guys that are talented and use that talent and don't really follow up on it, and there are guys like Leo Rush who are talented and still bust their ass to get what they have.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish them all the luck, and I hope that I can face them again down there.
Yeah, you guys came up around the same time, and I mean, you've had quite the growth yourself in terms of development. So yeah, like you said, in the future, that'd be great to see you guys mix it up. I guess you are missing a tooth or two, is it, or just one or two?
I'm missing 2 teeth. I had 2 teeth knocked out in July by Ryan McBride.
What kind of difficulties does that cause for you?
Well, I have trouble speaking. I have a lisp if I don't slow myself down.
Mm-hmm.
Have trouble eating certain things. And clearly it's just, it's not aesthetic. I can't really be a bald guy with a beard and teeth missing. It's one or the other. So, get that fixed.
And you mentioned not being able to eat certain things. Is there anything that you really enjoy that you aren't able to eat?
No, I really don't eat bad anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I eat bagels in the morning occasionally.
Uh-huh.
It fits my schedule, and it's hard to get into them without all my front teeth. So now that I'm differently abled, maybe I can get a parking placard, and fat people can do it, old people can do it.
Exactly. Is that going to be something you get implants for, or would you be able to get the teeth put back in?
I could get the doctors are kind of hesitant with the implants because I already got the bone graft,
mm-hmm.
but they're suggesting I get the implants after I'm done wrestling. Because if I get them hit again, it's not a tooth breaking, it's a titanium screw. It's screwed into my face. That won't break, it'll just break my face instead. So I have a partial with the 2 teeth that I can just kind of clip in. So when I'm out with my wife, I can look like a normal human being.
No, I definitely feel you there, man. I have 2 implants myself, so I can't imagine getting those things knocked out or what the damage they do to the rest of my gums and everything.
Yeah.
Now,
so that's how I'm living.
Mm-hmm. The show next month for MCW as well. Joey Matthews is going to be presented with the Shamrock Cup.
Yeah.
What do you feel about Joey winning that cup last month?
Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's all about honor, and everybody wants to suck each other off after they have wrestling matches and shake hands and do all this crap. Good for him. He came back, he kicked Leo in the dick, and he pinned him.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody's all up in arms and upset. Why? It's a wrestling match. Wrestling is missing violence. Everybody wants to go out and shill their shitty t-shirts and shake each other's hands and talk about honor and respect. It's about beating the crap out of somebody and then going out and trying to steal their girlfriend after the show. That's what it's about. How much money did I make tonight? Not how many fans did I get, how many likes I'm going to get. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
So good on Joey. But unfortunately for Joey, on September 23rd, he's challenging me for the Primal Conflict Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. And I don't really think that's going to turn out in his favor as well. It's always a bunch of old TV guys trying to come up and extinguish my flame to reignite theirs. And I'm not going to let it happen. I can't let it happen. He needs to go ahead and admit that his time has passed him by and sit down.
So it's like a changing of the guard or a passing of the baton once you defeat him?
Whether he likes it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he likes it or not.
Yeah, I mean, that should be one real fun there in Ranson, West Virginia.
Correct.
But we also talk about future of MCW, and you've got guys like you and Joe Keys, Rob Locke, the Dixon line. You guys are all starting to break out on your own. We've seen Joe Keys, and he debuted the look with the mustache and the South Florida vibe, kind of like Miami Vice. What are your thoughts on you guys all going your separate ways and just growing as performers?
It's good. It's necessary. I'm proud of them. I'm curious to see how they do, but it's one of those things where it's time to sink or swim.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't really feel that they're not gonna need any more help. Like, we've done what we could do together. We've learned what we can learn, and good on them. Good luck. Like you said, we're all branching out. We're finding ourselves. That's an across the board change. So we'll see how those things progress, and we'll adapt accordingly.
Now, the last time we saw you in Capital Wrestling, you were beating Sonny Kiss, and that made you 2-0 in Capital Wrestling. What are your thoughts on that match, and did anything about Sonny surprise you during that?
What are my thoughts on being undefeated in Capital Wrestling? Swinging around, what are your thoughts on Ken Dixon being undefeated in Capital Wrestling?
I mean, I think it really puts you in a really good place to be potential champion in the future.
I agree. I agree with you. I think that me putting those two in their place, whether or not, Ryan Zane is as really good as he claims to be, he's not. And Sonny Kiss clearly has the advantage as far as support and fans. But to be honest with you, screaming fans don't win wrestling matches. And Sonny Kiss he can't keep up with me. Try as he might, he can't lace my boots. So I'm curious to see what Capital Wrestling has for me next.
And we saw Preston Quinn lost at the last show. He had been undefeated as well, and now it looks like you're got a streak going on. So we are very curious to see what Capital Wrestling has. And Logan Easton LaRoe is taking on Sonny. We've got Matt MacIntosh and Anthony Gangone. So what are some of the guys on the roster that have caught your eye that you really want to mix it up with?
Let's see. I don't know. Capital Wrestling is a good melting pot for me. There's a lot of guys from New York and New Jersey that I wouldn't normally get to mix it up with.
Mm-hmm.
I've fought Anthony Gangone before. Rolling a little reverse now. I think I'd like to try that again. Slow him down. Those guys like to move 1,000 miles an hour in New York City. Doesn't really flow with me. So I like to slow these turds down, show them what it's about. Hell, the Pain Crane, Preston Quinn, he's an old school ass kicker. So am I. The difference between us was just that he's a little bit older than me. Let's see, Preston Quinn, Anthony Gangone, hell, Joe Keys. I'll mix it up with my old tag partner. I'm curious to see what he's put together. Gotta watch out for that mustache. It's got a mind of its own. Capital Wrestling has a pretty good roster. It's got there are some real standouts there, and really helps build the roster up. So I'm curious. It's good.
Now, with Joe Keys, do you think that'd be a match where you guys know each other so well that the match would just be back and forth constantly?
I really couldn't put my finger on it. I know that he's a hell of a technical wrestler. We can spar from time to time, and then sometimes he puts me in holes that I just can't get out of.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie. So you got me there. In a big match situation, I don't think I'd let him catch me, put his hands on me like that. So there's so many variables. It's hard to say. What would happen? What's a solid outcome? Because I really can't predict it.
Now, speaking of the Capital Wrestling potential championship, it is announced that it's going to be announced at the next show. The champion is going to be named. What are your thoughts on that? And is there a case you want to make for yourself to Capital Wrestling management right now?
What are the thoughts about the Capital Wrestling Heavyweight Championship?
Mm-hmm.
The only thoughts are when are they going to reach out to me and see what I like, and see what kind of title that Ken Dixon is going to want. Those are the questions that Capital Wrestling management needs to get together and brainstorm. What do I like? What's going to be on Ken Dixon's Capital Wrestling Heavyweight Championship? That there's really nobody else at Capital Wrestling that brings to the table what I bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
I don't come out and quote my favorite lines from all my favorite gangster movies. I've done everything that I say that I do. I've been everywhere that I claim to have been, and I handle my business in the ring. What better spokesperson for Capital Wrestling than an absolute man?
Yeah, I can't think of many.
That's what I've left here.
There was a Facebook poll that actually had asked the fans who they want to see as champion, and I remember you actually won the vote, and I believe it was something about 40-something votes or something. But what are your thoughts on that? And does the fans' opinion matter to you?
opinion doesn't really matter because I tell them what their opinion is. When they come to a wrestling show and they see Ken Dixon in the ring, they can cry all night long to dictate the flow of my match.
Mm-hmm.
They can boo. I don't care if they think my holds are boring. They're effective. When I slap somebody in an armbar, it's because it works. When they don't like it, they try to tell me boring and this sucks and you look stupid and whatever else those mouth breathers want to say to me. They can't lace my boots, and they bought tickets to watch me. So, I dictate the pace. The fans' opinions mean nothing to me. But it's very appropriate that they would choose somebody like me to lead them, because what better example for a bunch of mouth-breathing, slack-jawed, New Jersey trash than an educated, world-traveled guy like myself.
You'll be going from the Cathedral Hall, and now you're in Hoboken with a different location. When it comes to Hoboken, Jersey City, is it all the same for you?
I've never been to Hoboken, and it sounds like a town that I don't really want to go to. I'm not a fan of New Jersey to begin with. I think it smells, and the people look worse than it smells, and there's nowhere to park in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the parking is god-awful. I mean, that's the biggest complaint I remember the wrestlers had the last show.
Yeah. Who wants to wrestle in a town called Hoboken? It sounds like I'm going to go to Hoboken, and my pay is probably not going to be there. like the fans who just happen to wander in are going to be people that just got off of the railroad tracks with their sticks and their polka dot bandanas, with their shoes and their bottle of whiskey, and that's all they have. So I'm not going to be able to get what I need out of them.
Uh-huh.
I'm hoping that Capital Wrestling does what they need to do so that I can get paid.
One other thing about Capital is the growth of Capital, really. I mean, in the last, since, March, we've seen, different resources, whether it's networks, whether it's merchandise, all sorts of growth of Capital. What are your thoughts just on the progress of Capital so far?
Marcus, Matt, you're welcome. That's what I think about the growth of Capital Wrestling. All the reviews that I'm seeing, all the positive feedback from guys like Eric Bischoff and his network, that conglomerate that they run on, that they host on, the guys from Queens, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Rarely do you get independent wrestling promotions that have a direction other than, hey brother, I got my tax refund, let's go book some wrestling. or some kid that gets a couple of bucks and decides he wants to play with his toys in real life. Capital has a direction.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy working there, and I look forward to coming back as often as possible as my schedule allows. Hopefully then go back to Cathedral Hall, because that's a good venue. I want to wrestle in Hoboken.
Well, I remember last time we talked, you were mentioning that you'd like to see some, flaming trash cans to add to that. I mean, even if it's not as cold.
Well, it was so cold in there.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to, luckily it was Ryan Zane, and he sucks, so I didn't have to do too much to put him away. But had that been Sonny Kiss or another more formidable opponent, I might have been threatened, because I wasn't able to stretch out. It was so cold in there. The working conditions were poor.
I would still love to see those flaming trash cans, just for the optics.
I would too. But the Death Jam fighting game, yeah.
I think
ambiance.
Exactly. There's one promotion you'll actually be making a return to next month. We don't know about your future Capital opponent just yet, but you'll be at Nova Pro next month for Nova Project 3.
I will be at Nova Pro on Friday, September 22nd.
And we haven't seen you there in quite some time. What are your thoughts about returning to that promotion?
It's nice to be able to, step outside of my door figuratively and be able to lace my boots up an hour from the house and kick somebody's ass and be sleeping before midnight.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. I enjoy it.
Yeah, because I know that Jersey drive is pretty rough, going up and back.
I mean, the drives aren't normally, I don't mind them. It's a means to an end. I enjoy doing them, but I also take advantage of the close shows, within the state of Maryland or Virginia. New Jersey's only 3 hours. It's not that far. But, if I can get an hour, that's great.
Yeah. The last question I'll ask before we get to our plugs is, in your opinion, aside from yourself, get outside yourself for a second. What are your thoughts on the most intriguing thing or the best thing going on in wrestling currently? Just in general.
The best thing going on in wrestling right now, to me, are the heavyweights in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really a big New Japan fan. Sometimes I like my wrestling to look like a fight. I'm not really a fan of the acrobatics and a lot of the funny stuff. It works, but it's just not really my cup of tea. I like watching Braun Strowman throw chairs at people's faces. I like seeing Brock Lesnar come out, and you really never know what he's going to say.
Mm-hmm.
I like how Samoa Joe has quietly creeped up and become a player, alongside guys like Roman Reigns who seem to finally be getting the respect that they've earned. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of the Hardy Boys, what they've done, and how they're still able to go almost 20 years later. Let's see, anything else? I'm curious. I'm trying to keep up with Ring of Honor as well, but it's not on a channel that I can easily access.
Fight TV.
So, it's like, is it Fight TV or is it like Pop or I don't.
Yeah, Fight.
Global Force. I can't.
Yeah, GFW's on GFW's on Pop, and Fight TV has Ring of Honor every Monday.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take your word for it. I kind of just watch my highlights on Twitter. I'd like to see those guys come up. Competition is good. It makes everybody work a little harder. I'm curious to see what Global Force is going to do. I felt like they've had a really talented roster for the last couple of years. So a little bit more direction, they could really do some damage.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if I may, shout out to Desmond Xavier. He just won the Super X Cup.
Mm-hmm.
He's an NCW guy, trained at Gilbert's. He moved away right before I broke out, but he's a good dude, and I'm happy to see him succeeding right alongside Bill Rush. Good business.
And the Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark.
Yes, the Velveteen Dream. He's another guy, him, and also Jessica Carr. That's her name now. Yeah, the lady rep, Jess. I'll tell you one thing about Jess. She is the hardest worker in the room every time, bar none.
Mm-hmm.
That includes guys like Leo Rush. That includes Patrick Clark, Kennedy Brink, Jessie K, Jessica Carr, whatever you know her as. She is the hardest worker in the room all the time. She's overcome so many obstacles to get where she is, and she's helped me a lot when I first started breaking into the business. And I'm glad to see her finally getting her payoff there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then there's a lot of hardworking people there in MCW and all around, and all the growth we've seen just in the last 3 years, not just from the performers, but the promotion as a whole, it is really fun to watch.
Yeah, we put a lot of work in. Rewards are bound to come up eventually.
Exactly, and we're hoping for the same in Capital Wrestling and the effect you're going to have on it. I guess we'll call that the Ken Dixon effect. But now we get out of here. But what about T-shirts, merchandise? Let's see, future dates. Just any plugs you'd like to go for at social media.
I don't really sell a lot of T-shirts, man. It's hard to move merch when you're an asshole.
True.
So I don't really expect to move a lot of merchandise. It's all up there. I have a pro wrestling tee store. You can just search Ken Dixon. I'm the only one there with a beard. It's there. But as usual, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, just _Ken Dixon. Find me. I'll shit on you. And I have a smile on my face while I do it. Upcoming dates. On September 2nd, I'm going back to New Orleans. Challenge for the Wildcat Sports Revolution title. On September 9th, I'm heading down to Panama City, Florida, with another badass at Capital Wrestling, Paul Jourdain. We're heading down there for New Heights Wrestling in Panama City, Florida. Man, that's a busy schedule. I have like 3 Sundays, and that's all I have available in the month of September.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty booked up for the rest of the year. I'm thankful for that. The hard work has begun to pay off.
No, definitely.
But yeah, man, that's where I'm at. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, and like I saw your schedule you had posted, in whether it's on Facebook or Twitter, and like you said, you're everywhere, and it's just good to see your dates filling up and that people are recognizing what Ken Dixon can bring to their promotion.
That's right. It takes a while, but you definitely, you got to put the work in, and eventually you'll reap the rewards.
Exactly. And, the T-shirt designs you have there, obviously I mentioned in the previous podcast, they're very creative. Did you have any other ideas in your brain right now that you were going to put onto a shirt?
I have a few. I have a few different designs. I'm looking to get something, looking to make the history of violence something a little bit more tangible.
There you go.
That's something that I'm tinkering with, in the vein of like a Kill Bill or like a Inglourious Bastards, like something kind of twisted. So I'm kind of dabbling with that a little bit. But other than that, man, I really don't focus on T-shirts that much because they don't sell for me, because I don't like people, so I don't care if they're wearing a Ken Dixon shirt or not.
Yeah, and like you said, twisted, maybe a little bit gritty, but whatever you come up with, whatever you put on a shirt, we know it'll probably be very wearable and really just cool to look at. So, and badass to say the least. Now,
that's the idea.
We'd like to thank you for coming on the show this week. Pretty soon this show is going to be on the IRW network. Hopefully either this week or next week we're going to start putting it on there. But yeah, Ken, we really want to thank you. As a busy guy as you are, thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Now, we're going to take a quick break, but after the break, we're going to talk to the Bad Apple, Matt MacIntosh, about his debut versus Mike Law. Welcome back to the Capital Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Sean O'Brien. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. You can follow us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. Just want to thank Ken Dixon for bringing his history of violence onto the Capital Wrestling Podcast earlier. It was great to hear from him and just his thoughts on MCW, being the PCW champion. Now we're going to move on to our next guest. He hails from the Rotten Orchards. He's the first ever WrestlePro champion. He won that back in March of 2016. You've seen him at Change the World Wrestling, Battle Club Pro, Wrestle Pro, 5 World Wrestling, House of Glory, and most recently, Capital Wrestling on this past Monday's episode versus Mike Law. He is the Bad Apple, Matt MacIntosh. What's up, Matt?
Not much. How are you, Sean?
Oh, doing great, man. It's just great to have you on here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. When I met you at the last Capital show, that was something I was looking forward to. You're just a really down-to-earth guy who just works hard and puts on great matches.
I mean, I don't have much, but I do have a lot of ass power, which means I have a lot. I bust my ass a lot, so I appreciate that it goes noticed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, exactly. That's why the promoters are noticing it. That's why you see yourself in Capital, Battle Club Pro. I mean, you're Tier 1. You're all over the place.
Trying. Could be all. Could always be better. Could always be worse.
Are there any places that you haven't wrestled yet that you'd love to wrestle? Obviously, aside from WWE.
I would like to. If I wasn't so lazy, I'd probably would like to get out of state. Definitely out of country. Midwest, down south, West Coast, anywhere. Canada. So I've yet to go to Canada, which is upsetting to me. But maybe that's going to be the goal going into the rest of this year, is trying to get out there a little bit more.
So would you say in terms of the international wrestling that you'd most likely go to Canada, or where is a place where would you like to see how your style matches against the other competition?
I guess I'm like every other dude on the indies. I would just love to go to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just for the wrestling. I just, I like to play video games. I'm kind of into the anime scene is pretty cool to me. just like the culture there, I feel like is really cool. Japan obviously would be number one, but like to be able to go anywhere for someone to want to use me that badly to want to bring me in anywhere, I would be more than happy to go.
Now, if you went over to Japan, something like that, would you be able to, take your girlfriend with you, or is that like and have her wrestle over there as well?
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably just best to go over there solo, just to keep all distractions and everything.
True. Stay focused.
Yeah, exactly.
What have you been up to lately? Obviously, we'll get to the Capital Wrestling debut this Monday. You this past Monday, but you were also at Battle Club Pro last month. Just talk about that and your thoughts on that card as a whole and your match that you won the Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah, the Battle Club Pro Bounty in Kings County, which was earlier in August. We had British Strong Style there. It was awesome. Carlos and his crew are doing a real good job of just kind of bringing something a little bit different to the New York scene. The card was stacked as always. I mean, you had you had me in the 4-way match against Anthony Bowens, Mike Verna, Brute Van Slyke. I was able to come out on top because I'm a bad apple and that's what I do. But you also had other great things like the Carnies versus Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, Darius Carter versus Pete Dunne.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a lot of people have probably heard about that by now. You also had Ugly Ducklings versus Heavenly Bodies, which was really, really good. Matt Cross versus Shane Strickland. Like, card was stacked from top to bottom. And to be honest, I feel like the real MVPs are the fans that actually sat through that long show in that heat, because that was, oh man, I don't know how people do it. I get cranky when I get like hot like that. So more power to you guys.
You mentioned the 5 hours, the heat, and I think that was the same weekend Progress had their show as well.
Yes, exactly.
So I mean, it's one of those things where they really have to watch these places in terms of just taking care of the fans and making sure that they're safe and hydrated and all that.
Exactly. To be honest, though, it's I guess they're used to it by now because it's very few and far between shows, especially in the summer, that have any AC or heat, for that matter. I guess in the winter, when everyone's in there running around, it gets a little warm, so that's not that big of a deal. But there's very few shows that I've been on, at least, that had AC in the building, especially in the summer. So it's just part of the gig.
Yeah, I got true. I think it's almost like in a way of paying your dues, whether you're a fan or a wrestler.
We're all suffering together for
You're not gonna walk in there with your pinky up saying, "Hey, I'd like only red-colored M&Ms."
Right. As much as I'd like to, but no one listens when I say that. So I don't know.
The only M&M that matters tonight is Matt MacIntosh.
Exactly. Very nice.
The Ugly Ducklings. I remember I've seen them 2 months in a row at Nova Pro down here in Virginia, and those guys are just fun to watch.
Yeah, they're amazing, and I mean, I think they're from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to just drive up to Brooklyn from Georgia, come in, kill it in that heat, like, I don't know, they're just really awesome. And I mean, Heavenly Bodies are no slouches either.
No.
As much as it hates me to say that, but yeah, I mean, it's just what happens when you put two good dance partners together.
Mm-hmm.
You get some magic to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, tag team wrestling is one of those things where when it's done right, man, it's beautiful. And sometimes WWE, it's lost in WWE, but then all of a sudden they'll put together a match with Cesaro, Sheamus, The New Day, whoever it is, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, they can do this. It's just every week they choose not to.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same point, if you do it every week, what makes it special?
Well, then you'd burn the fans out. So I do understand that aspect of it as well. I don't want to sit here and go, let's put 3 hours of Raw with 20-minute matches.
Yeah. Still got to pay bills, and 3 hours is a long time to fill. It's a long time.
Yeah. I mean, especially the fact that you've got like advertisers. I mean, advertisers is the biggest reason why they have that third hour. Without that being a big issue, they could easily go back to 2. But whether it's the segments or the wrestling, that's a lot of time to fill, like you said.
Exactly, especially to do it live. Oh Lord.
Yeah, when anything can happen, you're right. But I guess that's why they're where they are. But I mean, there's one thing I haven't noticed about you though. Like I've seen you in a lot of singles action. What is your thought on being part of a tag team match?
I'm actually a member of a tag team in WrestlePro.
Okay.
the Apple Corps, me and my little protege over there, Valeria La Muerte, a.k.a. Death Valley, which I gave him, which is a brilliant nickname by me, obviously. But I like it. It's, I've been a singles wrestler the majority of my career, and I like it because it's a new challenge. Not that like singles wrestling is easy, but it's like anything else in life, I guess. You just want to kind of be as diverse and be able to contribute whatever way you can. So I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling, especially when it's done correctly, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
When you get it's magic enough when you get like two guys that are kind of on the same page in there and beating the crap out of each other, and then the more people you put in there, the more parts that can be played, the more exciting stuff that can happen. So I'm a real big fan of tag team wrestling.
Yeah, and then like we've seen in recent instances, I mean, there's going to be some really... I just thought it was so disrespectful when they had the Hardy Boys on the pre-show when it was not even 6 o'clock yet, and there was no one in the arena.
Yeah, the partially empty arena match, that was pretty... I don't know. Hey, man. I don't even know what to say, because number one, who the hell am I to say anything? But, sometimes you're not always going to be put in a position that you want to be in, and you just got to make the best of it. And I'm pretty sure they did that. They're all really good workers that are in there. I mean, they wouldn't be up there if they weren't. But sometimes, you just gotta deal with the hand that you're dealt sometimes.
Yeah, you're right. And I think the one thing with tag team wrestling these days, whether it's in WWE or outside of it, is when tag teams are split up too early, and you feel like there's a lot more mileage they get out of them, and they want to try one guy as a singles run, and just like, I feel like there's a lot more they can do with these tag teams instead of splitting them up.
For sure. I mean, I guess it's, but you also run the risk you don't want to do it too late, because then the singles run doesn't really mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I guess it's, that's got to be rough to kind of time that up properly.
Yeah,
There's no real, criteria to be like, oh, this is when it's supposed to happen,
Yeah.
You gotta take chances, man. Gotta take chances.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to sense it, and you kind of have to feel, what is the crowd telling you? And like you said, you don't want to do too early or too late. You got to time it right, and for the the best impact. Like kind of like when the Shield broke up, just for an example, that was a big deal because it had built and built and built, and then no one really saw that coming.
Yeah, and that's when it's the best. You can surprise people with stuff this day and age. That's a pretty, especially with like social media and all the dirt sheets and all the insiders and everything. Like if you can surprise people with stuff, that's a pretty cool thing these days, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what's really cool too is, I mean, wrestling in general, when the thing I've learned is that there's not one specific thing that's going to really excite people. I mean, you find out if something works, it works, and you kind of just go with it, and there's something for everyone. So you're not going to like everything that happens, but that's why there's so many different variations.
Yeah, well, it's wrestling is the circus. Some people like the clowns, some people like the acrobats, some people like the lions and the animals, and that's from what I've seen in my 5.5 years in the business. The people that do the best are the people that kind of cater to everybody rather than just one particular niche kind of group.
Yeah. So you started back in 2012. What was the process for you like? And what was your inspiration? Just talk about that initial part of getting into wrestling.
All right. So I think I just graduated with my associate's degree. I was in this, not a bad job, but it was definitely something I didn't want to do. So as a guy that's been, involved in sports, I guess you could call me an athlete, but I've played sports my entire life. When I kind of stopped doing that, I felt this real big, I just want to call it a void or a hole, as corny as that might sound, but I realized that I would get, I just missed competing or just being able to be athletic or, just kind of get that energy that kind of builds up out. And I was actually playing at the time, I think it was I forget what whatever WWE game was that, SmackDown vs. Raw or something. I really don't even remember. But I ended up meeting with, or like playing with this other kid from Jersey. Long story short, I ended up meeting up with him to go train up at Gino Caruso's school in Lake Hiawatha, New Jersey. I was originally trained by Gino, Rocky Jones, a.k.a. Mike Masters in the WWF, Jerry Fazio, who was one of the Executioners, and another guy by the name of Crazy Ivan from Jersey All-Pro fame had a big part in training me too. So yeah, after about 3 months, I had my first match. Probably was the worst match ever. But, I got it done, and it was kind of like, I've never felt so comfortable doing something as to when, like, I got in the ring. It was, like, very weird for something that I've never done before. It felt very natural. I think, like, a year later, back in 2013, I started training with Pat Buck at the PWS school, which is now WrestlePro. And just have been trying to, make something happen these last couple years, I guess.
And I mean, what was who were some of the guys growing up that you watched that you wanted to emulate and really that got you itching to get in the ring?
So when I was younger, it was like everybody else's guys. Michaels, Undertaker was awesome when I was younger. The Rock, Stone Cold. I was a big Triple H fan back in that 2000 to 2001 era when he started getting that first push. That was my guy. For WCW, I liked all the cruiserweights. Jericho, I was a huge fan of. The Horsemen. And, but there was a period of time where, I guess, I don't know if this happens to everybody, but I kind of got away from wrestling for a little bit around, high school. And when I started watching again, it was the X Division guys that I would watch in TNA that kind of got me to, sit there and really be like, holy crap, this isn't really the stuff that I remember watching. It's a lot more athletic, it's a lot more fluid, a lot more entertaining in my opinion. So by the time, around 2010, when I kind of got back into, watching it, guys like the Motor City Machine Guns, P.D. Williams, Sanjay Dutt, Low Key, Amazing Red, guys like that were the guys that really kind of, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, you name it. Everybody brought some sort of different thing, and I thought it was awesome. So that was the kind of style I tried to emulate once I started training. So yeah, and then and then now it's I get I guess inspiration from just weird things. Kenny Omega is awesome, but not even the stuff he's doing now. I'm a big fan of some of the older stuff, the stuff that people hate. Basically, the blow up doll, the 9-year-old girl. Kenny Omega is a champion of anywhere is one of the greatest videos I've ever seen. But yeah, stuff like that kind of it's weird, man. I guess you can find inspiration from anywhere.
Yeah, you're right. And you mentioned people like AJ Styles, and you mentioned Amazing Red. Amazing Red just won the House of Glory title this past weekend over Anthony Gangone.
I saw that. Congrats to him, especially coming back from what was it, ankle surgery he had to get?
Yeah, I believe he had an injury.
Yeah. So, more power to him, man. It's awesome. Red's the man. I'm a huge fan of Red.
Yeah, it seems like there's a big resurgence, in the guys who were in the prime back in from 05 to 07, whether it's TNA or WWE. It seems like there's a big resurgence of those guys, now in GFW and WWE. So, like you said, more power to all of them. It's good to see people just staying on top and trying to battle Father Time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all that's the game now. I feel like it's all about recovery. Because after I've been learning kind of what we're doing to our body as far as the damage and stuff that we do to structurally all that. I don't even want to bore people, but just being able to bounce back after really excruciating matches and stuff like that. It's not back in the day where you could hold a headlock for 7 minutes and get the reaction that you want to. So, yeah, I definitely feel like, keeping your body conditioned and recovery and treating your body well and trying to keep it as healthy as possible is the way to go. And guys like Red and everybody else that you mentioned, they're really a testament to that.
I mean, you mentioned the recovery process and just trying to see some of the bumps guys take these days, whether reckless or basic ones. I mean, they all add up. They say you have a bump card, and there's only so many you can take in your lifetime and your career. What are some of the things you try to do, whether before, after, or during a match, to try to, I guess, minimalize some of it?
Well, I try to do yoga as much as I can. I found out that it really just helps keep everything aligned. One big thing that I used to never do is stretch.
Yeah.
So I'm making sure, you never want to go into like any sort of athletic event cold. You want to be warmed up, stretched out, and as much as I probably should do it, but I don't do it, stretching afterwards to kind of just relax everything. There's also been, nutrition is huge. If you're eating garbage, your body's just gonna like turn to garbage, not just the way that it looks, but
how you feel,
how it responds to what you want it to do, and how you feel exactly. There's a lot of stuff if you kind of just research stuff online. Saunas are supposed to be really good. To me, to be honest, it's not necessarily the matches that beat me up as much as it is the travel, and like I don't even travel that far, to be honest. But being stuck in a car in that position for 3 to 4 hours at a time, that's what like I feel jacks me up and gets me more stiff than anything. So as soon as we can find a way for me to travel lying down in a sleeping position, I'll be fine, I think.
Well, that's why when you see guys like Orton, Triple H, Cena years ago, they started buying those big tour buses when they could afford it. I mean, something like that is definitely the dream, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's probably a testament to why John Cena has wrestled as long as he has, because, I mean, like you said, if you can sleep that time and get your body like horizontal instead of vertical, all the more power to you.
Exactly.
And I've even, like you mentioned, the stretching as well. I mean, I play basketball. Usually I try to do it weekly, and I notice now it's like I'm 30 years old. I got to stretch. I can't sit here and try to act like I'm too young for this.
You ain't no spring chicken anymore, Sean. That's for sure.
No, I'm an old man.
I'm with you on that. I'm hitting 30 in November.
Oh, okay. Well, it's very scary. Be aware.
Yeah, I've been telling everyone and telling myself that I'm 30 for like the last 2 years. So
getting yourself hyped.
So that it won't. I'll like mentally prepare myself for the big 3-0.
He doesn't turn 30. He stays 30.
Exactly.
Now, what's one thing that the 2017 Matt MacIntosh would tell your younger self, like when you were starting out, that version of yourself?
Maybe keep your mouth shut. Stop taking those stupid bumps. I mean, I still do stupid bumps, but I try to do less of them. Work on promos. Develop a character. I guess that's it. To be honest, I 5 years in, I still feel like I don't know anything, so I don't really know what kind of... The best advice I could give myself actually would be to slow down.
Yeah.
Just slow down. That would be the best thing I could tell myself.
Is it one of those things when you first start out, you kind of think, okay, I want to do this, this, and this, and this, and I can do this all within a year?
Yeah, I try to... I feel like if you don't have goals kind of set, you kind of just float, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I tried to set goals for myself. Like the first year, I remember it was just something really small where I wanted to win. ECPW has like an awards ceremony every year, and I remember I just wanted to win like Rookie of the Year, and then I was able to do that, and then I moved on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So it's just trying to I mean, I guess I was hitting goals, but I never really set like a timetable as far as like when they need to be done by. I guess for something like Rookie of the Year, that's kind of time sensitive considering you're only a rookie for X amount of time. Yeah, I mean, I guess I always told myself, I would only wrestle till I was 30, and then, I would stop depending on, whether or not, if I had a contract or not, and then, the longer you're in it, the more you realize that, there's guys that are wrestling for 10, 15 years, and they're just starting to get breaks.
Yeah.
So, unless you're like a really super special talent, you're going to probably be, climbing or clawing at it for a little bit, grinding for a good amount of time until you kind of learn, or figure out kind of where you fit and what works best for you, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that, and I think today actually Leo Rush officially announced he's with WWE, so and he's only 22. Some guys shoot to the moon right away. Other guys take their time, but sometimes it's one of those things where you might not have been ready when you were 22, 23, and then once you actually get to the point where you get signed or whatever it is, you feel like you're more developed and you can offer more to a company.
Exactly. I mean, timing is everything, and the fact that you're not where you're want to be right now could be a blessing in disguise. Like you said, maybe you're not mature enough to handle it. Maybe, you can't really sit there and wonder what if. You just got to kind of take every day and just try to progress as much as you can each day, one day at a time.
I think the biggest thing I noticed is that a lot of guys struggle with is the character progression, finding that identity. And like you said, you're 5 years in, and you kind of feel at times that you don't know anything. Where does that come from in terms of the development of the Bad Apple Pro, the MacIntosh Bad Apple thing going on? How long has that been in the works for you?
My real last name is MacIntosh, so I kind of got lucky with that, considering I felt like it's always been a real gimmicky kind of name.
It's better than Granny Smith.
Oh yeah, right. Or Mount Fuji. Yeah, there's a Gala too. There's a couple of them, and to be honest, I really feel like MacIntosh apples are the worst.
Yeah, but
they're small and they're real tiny.
Has a nice ring to it though.
Yeah, well, here's the thing too. So when I was real young, I was a little bit not a problem child, but I didn't like to be stuck in a school, being lectured, reading books, all that stuff. I wanted to go out and run around, and I kind of, the teachers, thinking they were real cute, would always call me a bad apple because of the last name. When I first started wrestling, I was like, I see a lot of these other people that come in, especially like hanging out around Pat Buck School in Rahway. Well, these guys come in and everyone wants to be like a Chris Benoit, or everyone wants to be an MMA fighter. And unfortunately, a lot of people can't do that. So I always had the whole Bad Apple nickname, at least, in the back of my head when I started. I just kind of wanted to wait until I at least had somewhat of an idea as to what I'm doing, before I kind of tried it out, I guess, would be the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Like before that, I was just doing some like Irish guy, like that. I feel like every Irish dude that comes in tries, like, oh, I'm going to be the Irish guy, and it didn't work. It didn't set me apart at all. And then, I don't know, I just felt like it was very easy, the whole Bad Apple. More people know me as Apple than they do as Matt MacIntosh, just because it's easier to brand yourself, easier to... And I was making a lot of good puns with it at the time, so I guess that's why I stuck with it.
Yeah, I mean, especially like one of my favorite moves you did, your Capital debut with the Apple Slicer.
Yes, I had the Apple Slicer, the Apple Turnover, the Apple Pie, Ill Driver. Yeah, they're all Apple puns.
Now, that brings to my next question perfectly. The importance of a move set that fits with your identity and developing it and thinking of new moves and how they fit you, and just talk about that.
Well, basically, I don't do anything I don't think I can do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I get called a high flyer a lot, and it's probably because I don't even know. But like, I'm not one of these guys that are able to do 450s or shooting stars. I mean, I could probably try it, but I just don't think I have the stones to kind of do it. I like to try. I know I got a pretty good spring in my legs for a sub 6 foot white dude.
Mm-hmm. So,
I'm going to throw a drop kick in there. It's just kind of, I'm not going to do anything that I think is going to look like crap. So I know that, the little Tajiri handspring into the ropes looks cool. I can do it relatively well. It's just like, I don't know. To be honest, when I was like really when I was first starting out, I would literally go play WWE video games and just create a move set. And literally, me and my buddy would call it move shopping, where we would just go through and kind of find different things that we thought we could do and then try them out.
I think that reminds me of when you could create moves and like finishers and stuff with do you remember that?
Oh man, yes, I do.
I think for the longest time I was trying to get a guy who could do a shooting star press into a leg drop.
Yeah, but it never looked good.
Yeah, it always looked choppy.
Like real glitchy and choppy and everything.
Yeah, and I'd always try to create some sort of MMA guy who, that's when it was relatively new. Now years later, it's like everyone's, like you said, everyone's trying to be the MMA guy.
Yeah, and it's just, you got to find something that's going to set you apart. But also, like, back to the moves, if you talk to any vet or anything, or anyone that's been doing it for a relatively long time, the actual moves don't matter. It's placement of the moves. It's when the moves are done, how they're done.
Mm-hmm.
No one, anybody can do moves, but the whole goal of what we do is try to get you to forget that it's predetermined for a little bit, get you a little invested emotionally.
Yeah, that's one of the, like, we mentioned the tag team wrestling earlier, and that's another fun aspect of wrestling is getting so invested into it. I mean, being a grown adult and going, wait, what's going to happen?
Yeah, for a good 15 and 20 minutes, you're not worrying about your bills or whatever, anything else you got going on in life and all the crap that you had to deal with at work. You're just worried about, whether the good guy or bad guy is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So it's awesome.
Yeah, and I think how difficult though is it when you do that apple slicer, when you do that bounce off the ropes, trying to bounce back and find out where your opponent is, or is it just something that comes over time?
Yeah, I guess this is more of a feeling thing. It depends on how blown up I am too, I guess. If you don't have any wind, you're not really going to be doing much. I don't know. I've hit it a couple times. I've messed it up more times than I've probably hit it as nice as I'd like to. So that's the only way you'll learn how to fix things is by messing them up. And it's like anything. It's just reps, muscle memory, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, is it one of those things? I can easily envision like headbutting a guy by accident.
That has yet to happen, but now that we've talked about it, it'll probably happen in the next match.
Shit, I don't mean to jinx you at all. My bad.
It's all good. I got that Irish luck, If it wasn't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all.
There you go. I'm Irish as well, so I can definitely sympathize with you there. Now, before we get to Capital, one last question. What is your favorite thing in wrestling today, whether it's on the independent scene, whether it's on the mainstream scene, and just anything in general? What is your favorite thing today?
Oh, man, that's tough.
It's a very broad question.
I don't know, man. I'm a real big fan of the comedy. So, like, comedy gimmicks. Like, anything that's going to... I watched... where was I? I was at Battleground Championship Wrestling last Saturday, the Saturday that just passed. Yeah. And I watched Beefcake Charlie and Greg Excellent just basically work the most ridiculous comedy-style match I've ever seen. And it was one of the best things I've ever seen at the same time. But, like, I don't know. I can't, I'm also big into... There's nothing I could really say off the top of my head right now that I'm like really in love with. I'm kind of a big fan of everything. Like I could pick and choose from every different type of genre of wrestling that you could like. I could find something to enjoy from everything, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You put me on the spot, and I guess I kind of crumble under pressure.
No, you're fine. It's kind of something I just started asking guests because I think it's really fun to see where they go with it because you can literally go, I can talk about a wrestler, I can talk about a show, I can talk about a promotion, and it just gives you that option to talk about really whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
And like you mentioned Greg Excellent, I saw him at MCW I think a few weekends ago, and he's fantastic as a comedy wrestler.
Oh, sure. I mean, just as a wrestler in general, they're all really good. MCW, I was just there not too long ago too. That's a really cool place.
Who'd you fight there?
They got a real good operation going on there. I had an opportunity to work the Shamrock Cup.
Oh, that's right. Who'd you wrestle?
Yeah. I was in a 4-way. It was me, Anthony Bowens, Lord Diaz, and Brandon Scott. And then the next night, I got to just wrestle Bowens, kind of like a Wrestle Pro showcase thing, which was awesome.
Yeah, there was a lot of talent in that tournament, and I talked with Ken Dixon earlier, and he said that good to see that Joey won the whole thing. So yeah, like you said, with MCW, plenty of talent there, whether it's the old stars coming in, the new guys rising up, and like you said, we saw Lio Rush get signed today to WWE, which that was his final show. So plenty of good things happened with MCW, a lot of growth in the last few years.
For sure.
We would love to.
Very good operation.
I'm sure they'd love to see you back there. I'd love to see you back there. I mean, oh, and also one other question about the indie scene. Who is one guy you have not faced on really any promotion that you would like to face on the indie scene?
Ooh, dang. Damn, man, good question. Hard-hitting question. That I haven't faced.
Anyone that you think you could put a 5-star classic on with?
Oh, wow.
I'm sure that's a goal for all your dream opponents if you were to do that.
I mean, it probably wouldn't happen because of where they're located, but guys like Neville, Adam Cole, Roddy Strong. I've been wanting to wrestle Roddy Strong for a while just because I hear about how much he goes. I think those would be awesome matches. A guy like Sami Zayn, I would really like to wrestle. I think that'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, those, I don't know. Anybody, to be honest.
Anybody, there we go.
Yeah, there's lots of guys I feel like I could put on really good matches with. One of them is, I'm actually getting a chance to wrestle him on Saturday, is Zach Wentz.
Yeah,
Zachary Wentz from Ohio. Dude is, oof. I just saw him at House of Hardcore not too long ago. Oh, man. Guys, it's awesome. The truth. So I'm looking forward to that.
Do you have a feeling that, like, your styles and will create for some great chemistry?
I do. Especially being able to watch him. I think it was him. It was him, Bobby Fish, P.D. Williams, and Alex Reynolds at House of Hardcore not too long ago, and very impressive. Very impressive with the stuff he could do. And I think we're going to put on a real good match this Saturday.
I think he was on Global Force Wrestling last week, if I remember.
Yes, just very recently, for sure. So, he should be there. And then his partner, Desmond, guys are awesome.
Oh, Desmond, yeah.
A lot of good guys are coming out of the Midwest, too, is what I'm seeing.
There's just so much talent these days throughout the whole scene where, it's almost like all these guys who eventually get signed by WWE doesn't really know what to do with them because they've got so much talent. So they kind of, some guys get lost in the shuffle. You just hope you're not one of those guys.
For sure. It's a very good time to be a wrestling fan just because there's so much good wrestling going on. There's so much. It's amazing. The level of athletes that we have right now is probably the best that it's ever been, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk, good wrestling, let's talk Capital Wrestling.
Nice.
I'm getting better at these segue things. I used to be really awkward at them. But
nice. This is good. I like it.
Thank you. What was your introduction to Capital Wrestling? What made you want to join the promotion?
Well, I mean, the first thing I saw the first couple shows, and the venue, number one, is the first thing that popped out to me. I believe they were at a church in Jersey City.
Yeah, Cathedral Hall.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then when I had an opportunity to kind of watch the production really got me. I like the whole vibe that they have with the, I don't know, I call it like a Fallout, like the Fallout video game kind of vibe that I get, especially with the intro with the old like 1920s type of like black and white.
Yeah.
You kind of see the tape tracking almost on the beginning. And then just, the locker room. Got a bunch of really talented guys in there too. And, I just, like anywhere else, just wanted to see if I could get an opportunity there at one point. And the opportunity came knocking and then jumped on it.
You mentioned that roster, the locker room. What is one word you would describe that locker room with?
Talented would be the best one, I guess. Just very talented. Underrated, too, I feel like would be a good one.
Eclectic.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Very good.
Yeah, they're just...
That's a good college word right there.
Yeah, I got me a bachelor's degree, and I pretend I know how to use it.
You and everybody else, bud. Don't worry.
I mean, that brings us, you want to talk about the locker room, you want to talk about the roster. I mean, there's no better thing to talk about than your confrontation with Mike Law, the colossal Mike Law, in the backstage this week at Capital Wrestling. That eventually led to your matchup. Talk about that and what was going through your head at that time.
A little bit of anger was going through my head, frustration. To be honest, I don't have a problem with Mike Law at all. Unfortunately, he was the guy that was fed to me first, and I unfortunately I had to make a statement with him. I'm thankful for the opportunity to get a title shot, but for me, it wasn't even about the title. I needed to prove to people why I should have been at Capitol since day one, and I feel like I did that, to be honest. Even though somehow Mike Law picked up the victory, I feel like even in defeat, I kind of showed everybody what I'm about, and that I should be taken real seriously here at Capitol.
It was a very even match. It was a back and forth. I thought you guys had great chemistry, and I'm not just saying this because you're my guest right now. I truly mean it because both you guys are great guys. It was just one of my favorite matches of the night. Between that, there was also Paul Jourdain and Sonny Kiss. You had MJF and Anthony Gangone, but you guys really found a really special spot there and made it your own. You made, like you said earlier, you made people forget, or made myself forget about the fact that we're, anything that's going on in our life, we're watching that match and we're invested in it.
Yeah, and that's all we're trying to do, get you invested. Because if you're not invested, because if the fans aren't invested, I'll tell you, it sucks. It sucks to be out there, to be in the ring, and like you're looking around and people looking at their phones and stuff, like, and guys get mad about stuff like that, and that's cool, but at the same time, that's on you. Like, if you're the one that's out there, that's your stage, that's your time, so, you got to get them invested.
Yeah, you're right, and I mean, I've done open mic comedy before, and I know that when people look at their phones, you're like, it does throw you off a little bit, but like you said, it's your job to get them back into it.
Exactly. Confidence is like 9/10 of the battle, too.
I mean, then last night at SummerSlam, you see the beach ball with Cesaro, Sheamus, and the Hardy, or in their tag team title match. Well, something like that. I mean, I felt like it was so disrespectful.
Yeah, but it was awesome when Cesaro ran out there and ripped that thing to shreds, though.
Thinking, I hope somebody in the crowd just tears it up. They'll be a hero. And then all of a sudden Cesaro does. I'm like, dude, that's even better. I couldn't have planned that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So you never see stuff like that at a pay-per-view.
Yeah, because he's just like, you know what? I'm taking this upon myself. Screw this. I don't care about the script. I'm grabbing this beach ball. Can you imagine the thing somehow got up to the second level, and all of a sudden he's like, no, I'm walking my ass up there. I'm getting that damn thing. I'm Superman.
No one here, he could probably just jump up there.
You're right. He just jumped back down in one fell swoop. But also, I mean, the dude just ripped it in half like it was nothing. I'd be sitting there with a pair of pliers trying to rip that thing in half.
Yeah, that's some serious grip strength right there.
Good grief, that guy's a freak, and he'll eventually have his own singles run, whether it's with the World Championship or not. But I mean, that guy's a freak.
For sure.
Now we'll go. To bring it back to Capitol. I mean, obviously, you lost to Mike. Where do you think that puts you in the Capitol scene?
Well, according to my social media, that puts me in the main event for the next show against Anthony Gangone. The co-main event, excuse me, which is where I feel like I should be. And like I said, I feel like I proved to the brass at Capitol Wrestling that the Bad Apple is something special. He's I'm the guy. I should be the guy there at Capitol Wrestling. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to prove that against Anthony Gangone, the wrestling god, in October 14th, I believe.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see it. That's the thing I like about Capitol Wrestling is there's so many guys there who feel like they're the guy, and that's what makes every guy better because there's competition. There's guys who really just want to make themselves better, and if you only have maybe one or two guys who really feel that way, the other guys are kind of off to the wayside. But I think there's so many guys who you feel could be champion, and they will be naming a champion on October 14th as well.
Awesome. Well, see, and the difference though between the Bad Apple and all these other chiz nuggets that are on the roster is that these guys may say that they're the guy and they feel like they're the best, but I'm going to actually go out there and prove it, and because it's real. Because literally, when you put me up against anybody on that roster, it's not even close. I mean, let's just be honest here. I'm not only am I doing, Capital Wrestling a service by bringing my amazing abilities to their promotion, but you're also going to be able to have these young guys that are on the roster, guys like MJF, hell, even Anthony Gangone, that could watch my matches and learn from them. I mean, I feel like, I'm here and I'm serving Capital in so many ways, and I really feel like, them putting me in the co-main event for this next show is a step towards almost repaying me back, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that, like you said, that a lot of ways you can go, and I mean, Anthony Gangone, he had his win over MJF. That's, I think, great competition for you, and I can't wait to see the match that you guys put on.
Yeah, it should be good. I mean, of course it's going to be good because I'm in it. But this will be only my second time wrestling Gangone ever, and I know what he's going to bring to the table, and I got a couple new things to show him myself.
That's my next question. Is how do you feel you've evolved since you guys first wrestled?
I don't know. It wasn't that long ago, so I don't know. He wrestled me when I was in a weird spot, definitely mentally. But I've kind of worked everything out. I don't know. I feel like now it's just I got a lot more confidence, and I couldn't give a damn about anybody else but me. I'm there to get my shit in, pardon the language, but I'm there to do me. It's not about. Well, I once was a little bit more respectful to people. Now it's my time, so it's time for them to respect me. I'm gonna make Anthony Gone respect me. He's gonna be very humble when he's done with the bad apple. I can assure you that for sure.
These days when I promote podcasts, I like to do an image for them with a quote, and usually there's a moment in a podcast where a quote just stands out to me, and like right then and there, that's the quote that I'm going to be using.
That's your money right there.
Yeah, that you're making my job easier, man.
That's what I'm here for, man. I'm just that good of a guy.
No, you're great. You're great, man. And, we've got a card set up there, October 14th. We just had tonight, just actually a few minutes ago, Mike Law versus Bo Crockett was announced. That should be a fun one. We're going to have, obviously yourself versus Anthony Gangone, a co-main event, which we'll all see Logan Easton Leroux versus Sonny Kiss. These matches are coming. The card, I believe they actually announced the entire card should be announced by tonight throughout Raw. So
awesome. Yeah, you got a real long time till October, so everyone better start saving up their pennies that they have left over after their useless jobs. And come to Hoboken, 301 Garden.
Now,
October 14th.
I mean, for more plug-in for yourself, what about merchandise, social media? Where can fans find you with these upcoming shows?
Merchandise, you're just going to have to kind of come and see me at the show when I have it. I know I've had places like hit me up to kind of do stores and stuff, and not my deal. On Twitter, I am at Bad Apple Pro. On Instagram, I am Bad Apple Brand. Facebook, you can just find me at Matt MacIntosh. As far as where you can catch me, I'm going to be in South Jersey for CTW, Change the World Wrestling on Saturday, the 26th, wrestling Zachary Wentz, like I said. And then I got a couple more shows coming up in September. One of them is going to be Wrestle Pro, where me and my little minion, Valerio Lamerte, are going to battle Habib from the Car Wash and the Abominable CPA for the Wrestle Pro Tag Team titles. Mm-hmm. And then I got a couple other things coming up, but since I am terrible with my memory, which is probably due to the headshots I take, or at least that's what I blame it on, I can't really remember off the top of my head. I'm going to have to check.
No,
Those are my two. I also got, the 22nd of September, I'm at Five Borough Wrestling against Danny Moth, for which they're not ready for that match. I don't think Brooklyn is ready for that match, to be honest, but that's going to be a fun one. That's basically my kind of current schedule right now.
And also with the announcement of the Capital Wrestling Championship that will be they'll announce the champion on October 14th. a win over Anthony Gangone, do you think that puts you right up there to be named champion?
Not only do I think that puts me right up there to become champion, I think that puts me up there to I want Rocky Romero's title too. I heard something about that mentioned watching my match back, and yeah, I think I'm the guy for that too. So, producer Hoot, I'm coming for you after I beat Anthony Gangone on October 14th. But yeah, definitely I'm going to be. I think right now I should be a top contender for that title. You know, even though I slipped up against Mike Law, that's got really nothing to do with me. As far as my preparation and everything, it just. You got lucky on that one, but I'll solidify my case on the 14th after I beat Anthony Gangone and show him that I'm the bad apple and I'm the Mac Daddy, the best wrestler alive.
Like I said, that's the fun part about Capital Wrestling, having so many guys think that they're the guy, and they easily could be the guy in any promotion. But that just shows you the level of competition that Capital Wrestling has. We did a Facebook poll a little while back. I think it was before you joined the promotion, but they mentioned who they want to win. Ken Dixon got a lot of votes. I think he ended up winning the poll. But just so many guys out there who whether it's in the tag team division or the singles division, that can just do so many different things.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. I'm excited to see.
Now, Matt, we want to thank you for stopping by the Capital Wrestling Podcast.
Thank you for having me, and you're welcome for the hits, for the views.
Oh yeah,
whatever podcast get these days.
The integrity of this podcast has been, between you and Ken in this episode, it's up there, man. I'm calling this the bad episode, not because of the quality of the guests, but more so it's Bad Apple and Dixon.
Yeah, no, this is a pretty badass episode for sure with those two guys.
You can catch us here every Wednesday at soundcloud.com/ElTorospodcast. Also, we're available on iTunes via the El Toro feed. Go to irwnetwork.com. Every Monday, we're live at 6:05 via the gfqlive.tv. You can catch replays on PivotShare and irwnetwork.com. Follow us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. Go to capitalwrestling@gmail.com for any business inquiries. Any other ticket purchases or information about Capital Wrestling, go to tinyurl.com/Capital Wrestling. And for merchandise, go to prowrestlingtees.com or What a Maneuver. And a shout out to Shot of Wrestling Podcast, one of our first sponsors for our return to Hoboken. So shout out to them. My other podcast, the Squared Circle Sound Off, will be sponsoring a match soon to be announced. So stay tuned for that on all the Twitters. And I just want to thank everyone for listening this week, and stay tuned to my Twitters for the guests for next week. Announcing them pretty soon. So I want to thank everyone for listening this week. All my guests, Matt MacIntosh, Ken Dixon, and we will be back here next week, Wednesday at 12 on SoundCloud.com/ElTorsPodcast.